Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague. With me, like always, is Noah Bailey. And so, over the past, however long we've been doing this, almost 4 years at this point. Wow. So
Really?
we're going into season 4. Yeah.
Go us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Continue.
Cool.
Sorry.
Cool. That's fine. I think if I did my math right, I think we're like finishing the third year and going into the fourth year.
That
That sounds right.
sounds right.
Yeah,
So
because
yeah.
February 2018. Yeah. We've talked a lot about how generally disappointed we are in EA and their Star Wars games haven't been great, aside from Fallen Order, which like still had a couple of problems here and there, but it was overall pretty solid. But the rest of their games have been not great. Well, apparently Disney has finally agreed, and as of today, apparently Disney has dropped the exclusivity deal with EA and has allowed at least Ubisoft to start making a new Star Wars game.
Woo!
Yes. The same guys that made the Division games are making an all new open world action story driven game.
This is good.
This is good. This
This
is
is
very
very
good.
good.
Any like speculation as to what you think this game could possibly be?
Who cares? Okay, let me rephrase. I'm not going to say that, but this is really good because as we've seen, EA. For better or worse, and by that I mean for worse, EA
Yeah.
has been has been kind of just I don't understand what it is with how EA just gets these exclusive rights for different games and then just makes them not very good.
Yes.
And like you said, Jedi Fallen Order has been very good. It's the first time in a long time any EA game, in my opinion, has been quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here is this kind of thing where it's like, okay, now we've got other people. Ubisoft has been shown, obviously, they can make some pretty decent games. I say
Yeah.
decent lightly because, they're pretty great. But, this is what I'm talking about. Like, letting other people open up to it. This might lead to others, and for all we know, we might get a Rockstar Star Wars game. I doubt it, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Like
Like,
I kind of have two thoughts of this. First, I think specifically having it be the Division development team. The Division is like it's not like praised to the extent that like Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs or Far Cry or that. It's not like praised as far as like that level, but they're still pretty solid games. Like
right.
they still did pretty well, especially the second one did very well for Ubisoft, and people generally have, generally positive thoughts of those games. So at least starting off with those developers, also the fact that those developers they're very good at making single player games that also have great multiplayer capabilities, which makes me think that it has been insane to me that for just how good the Mandalorian has been, there we haven't even gotten a hint of a
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian or like bounty hunter esque game yet.
Well, that's what this could very likely be. Yeah, I
Yes,
like where you're going with this.
like it just makes so much sense to have the Division team make a third person action adventure shooter where you can go around to different planets and also has a multiplayer mode where like just like it's set on different
Go,
maps and like even like free for all or like point capturing or even like specific missions or whatever. Like it could just be a lot of fun.
yeah, be a bounty hunter, be anything. That'd be so cool. And and that's like they've had those Jedi bounty hunter games before and stuff like
Yeah.
that have been solid. Granted, obviously, older, but you
Mm.
could bring an idea like that, bring it up to speed now, kind of like we did with Fallen Order, and just kind of make it look good, give it the nice details, and then just go with it. That sounds like
Mm-hmm.
a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like especially since Boba Fett is getting his own show, Mandalorian season 3 is coming up next year. Like
exactly.
it's just kind of a general fault with how EA handled the zeitgeist that was new Star Wars stuff. Like, yeah, they did Battlefront, but the first one was only old. Like, the first Battlefront was only original trilogy stuff, and then the second one had all eras, but it
Hmm.
still that game had other issues. Like it's
Right.
a lot better right now, but like it's been tainted just by all the controversy around it. There was no other, major Star Wars games aside from those two for a while. Like outside of like Galaxy of Heroes on mobile and a couple of VR games, but they didn't really tap into the zeitgeist of new Star Wars stuff as nearly as much as they should have. Considering how big EA is, you think they have at least 2 or 3 Star Wars games a year on the docket, but they just kind of didn't. So allowing Ubisoft the opportunity to take something like The Mandalorian or something Mandalorian-esque and ride with it just makes so much sense to me. Assuming they are doing that,
Right.
which I feel like they should. Yeah.
They would, and I think they would too, because like right now, that is the Star Wars stuff going on. No one's
Mm-hmm.
talking, no one's talking about the sequel trilogy anymore, unless it's like to be like, I don't like it. Like, so
It's
right
unfortunate.
now,
Yeah.
everything Star Wars is the Mandalorian. So even having something, Mandalorian esque
Mm-hmm.
is just right for the picking right now. So I agree, that would be the best move.
Oh yeah. And like you said, hopefully this does open up to many other different developers making Star Wars games, because if it baffles my mind that Disney would only assign a single development publisher or a single game publisher to make Star Wars games when we could have had a Star Wars Muso game like Hyrule Warriors, but Star Wars characters. That is literally a dream project of mine to like have that game exist. Like, can you imagine
Mm,
playing as Obi-Wan and Anakin, just like
yes.
going through a field of droids, just chopping them up and fighting.
Go, yeah,
Yeah,
and like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's something that's like a dream. Everyone would lose their minds
yeah.
over. Like, oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100% would be on board with that. Especially
Well,
with Clone Wars stuff, kind of like wrapping up so beautifully.
and if Ubisoft does continue making Star Wars games, they have a pretty substantial racing, which actually EA does too. EA has a like, oh my goodness, they had Need for Speed and Burnout.
Mhm.
Like they had the opportunity to make like a pod racer or like some kind of Star Wars racing game, and they just didn't. Yeah, like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I mean, how I don't know. I'm trying to think how that would go though, because like when I think of pod racing, like, I know there's like I either think of like the Lego Star Wars pod racing
Mm,
level or like the like arcade machine pod racing game
yeah,
from way back in the day.
I
I'm
mean just
trying to think. I wonder if they would. That would kind of be interesting if they still had those, or like they could kind of
modernize it or
make it. You think they could maybe make it like a ship flying also, or just racing?
probably, or they easily could have done a thing where it's like you're like a like Need for Speed where you have different objectives and there is a heavy like racing component, but a lot of it is, especially like the Need for Speed Most Wanted, is you doing street races and other stuff like while trying
Mm,
to get away from the cops.
yeah.
Have it set on Coruscant and have like flying around the
Ooh,
city. That
ooh,
sounds
that's kind of cool.
awesome.
That does sound kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I see
Yeah,
where you're
like
getting that. I like it.
there's so much potential for Star Wars content of any era, and because only EA made it and they decided to only make like 3 games for the past 5 years, like why not be more creative and like allow your different studios who have
Very talented.
yeah very like see like one about EA, but like they have a lot of different studios and those studios do have a lot of potential. It's just because of the way EA is structured, their games usually don't come out finished. So
Mm,
not necessarily the developer's fault. It's just kind of it being rushed out and whatnot. And Ubisoft isn't much better, but like after this past year with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs and even Immortals Phoenix Rising coming out, and they're all pretty solid at launch. Like, yeah, let them do it. Are there any other like pie in the sky dream Star Wars games that you would want to be made?
Oh, well, I've thought about now that we've been thinking about it. I'm like, well, again, what I know they've been rumored to have that like High Republic new series, so maybe that could jumpstart that also.
Yeah, yeah,
But again, that's kind of still, I guess, untapped territory as of now, so that'd be
yeah. I
kind
know
of
the comics
interesting.
are out, or at least like the first couple of comics are out now. I haven't really looked at them much, but I know they are. Like that story has started, and I think the Acolyte series is coming out next year. That sounds right. Uh, so yeah, like if whatever developer they approach to make a next Star Wars game, if they could be like, okay, here's the next major Star Wars movie or show coming out, go ahead and make it. You can make a game either directly tied to it or inspired by this, and just kind of ride the zeitgeist of new stuff going forward. That just makes sense to me.
Right. Exactly. And that's how it should be, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, why are we making this so like, oh, well, we got like, just do it.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So yeah, that is
But yeah, new Star Wars game from somebody else. That's stuff we've been waiting
yeah,
for a while
and
because it's like, yeah,
yeah,
good. So,
an open world Star Wars story. Like they specifically said, new story focused open world Star Wars adventure. Just, all of those are good words. All those are very good words for what I want
all
from
those
the
are
Star
good
Wars
words.
game. And the EA can still make Battlefront 3 like if they want to, or keep making or keep doing stuff for Battlefront 2 and just kind of make that forever. I think that'd be fine, but don't just have EA make games, or don't just have even just don't have one developer. Have expand out to other people
Yeah,
whenever
like
possible. Yeah.
yeah, if you only get one person to make all your games, one, like EA has, made very clear, they will stop trying to make them up to par.
Mm-hmm.
And two, like you just get different types. Star Wars is such a big world with different options that like having multiple people who specialize in different things make different games just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know? I'm just a guy who likes to play video
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. Oh, and Ubisoft also has like the For Honor team, and even like just which be a Full Honor but with Jedi could be awesome. Like it's just there's so much potential.
Full honor, but with Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Man.
See this? Yeah. But
Uh, yeah. Sticking with Star Wars for just a second, it's been confirmed that the Loki writer is set to write Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie.
ooh,
So
okay.
Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie is still moving forward. Loki is looking like it's gonna be great. So yeah, let him do it.
Let's see what we got. Yeah. I don't know. Have we seen this writer in anything else that I've note lately?
I didn't look much into it. I didn't even write his name down. I forgot. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I'm of the opinion like if you make something good recently, you have my faith. Like Jon Favreau, I hated The
Yes.
Lion King. I didn't really like The Jungle Book, but The
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian is fantastic. You have my praise. Like, so, like, assuming Loki is actually pretty good, like I said, it's looking to be pretty good, I would trust him to write a Star Wars movie. Um, yeah, I don't think we've heard much about what exactly Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie is going to be. Have you heard anything about like what era or like what it's going to be about?
I don't think there has been much on going on. At least I don't. Not that to my knowledge,
Mm.
but
Okay.
that doesn't. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, also this the Doctor Strange writer. Apparently, so
Oh.
we'll have
Oh,
to
yeah.
see.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's.
Yeah.
We're either gonna find out if we like him or not pretty quick. He's got a lot of stuff coming up. So
Is
here
it the
we
same guy
go.
that made Doctor Strange 1, or is he just making Multiverse of
No,
Madness?
he's not gonna be the writer on Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Like that. If that means Loki has potential to be even crazier than we thought it would be if, like, Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, speaking of Loki, Loki season 2 has been confirmed before season one's even out. So great.
Really? They
Yeah.
can. I love how they can do
Yeah.
that.
They haven't confirmed one Division 2 or Falcon Winter Soldier season 2 yet, but that's either a thing where they just wanted to make a single season and then that's it, or they just haven't confirmed it yet. Um, but Loki definitely seems like the kind of show where it doesn't have a definitive end. It can just kind of go until the show kind of comes to an like the
So
writers just get
whenever.
tired of writing it, so they just kind of
Right.
end.
Because it's kind of set where it could be kind of doing his own thing wherever. So
Yeah,
yeah, you kind of don't have time to. Yeah.
yeah. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision kind of feel like because they are tied to the greater Marvel universe, they need a definitive end, or at least an end, and then maybe an Avengers movie happens, and they can get another season. But
Right. Kind of kind of bridge shows to the next big movie,
yeah,
and then going from there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, I just
but no,
realized though. I just
yeah.
did some digging on this writer. Apparently, he's been on for Rick and Morty as a producer and also Community. So
Okay,
not
yeah,
bad company. So there it is.
okay. So Dan Harmon likes the guy, then yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, all right
Yeah.
then.
Um, so we did get some more information about like just further details about the Marvel shows coming up. So we
Okay.
know that WandaVision, first of all, is getting a 2 episode premiere this Friday, which is
Right.
great. I think that they said that's going to be 9 episodes. So cool.
Perfect.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to have 40 to 50-minute episodes, and it's going to be 6 episodes for the season. So,
Okay.
uh, which I mean, it's a little disappointing that it's not going to be more, obviously, but if they can tell the story they want to tell and don't feel, limited by only having 6 episodes, I think it'll be great. Loki is the same with 40-minute episodes, 60 with 6 episodes. Same with Moon
Hmm.
Knight, and She-Hulk is gonna have 30-minute episodes. They're gonna be 10 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Interesting. I wonder why so many more.
I don't know. It kind of evens out to about the same amount of time that the others.
Right.
They probably just like had like a more. My guess is that for Falcon and Winter Soldier, essentially they had this idea of what a Falcon and Winter Soldier movie would be like, so they kind of arbitrarily split it into 6-ish parts, kind of, I guess. That's
Hmm.
kind of how I think. Whereas She-Hulk, they envisioned it more as an episodic adventure. That's my guess. Could be wrong, but that's just kind
Yeah.
of the vibe I'm getting from those
Yeah, I could see
things.
that.
Um, I don't think they said anything about Miss Marvel yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be around that same She-Hulk uh, time of 30-ish minutes and 8 to 10 episodes. Um, yeah, that's cool. What Falcon Winter Soldier comes out in March.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. And it'll be a nice little move along through the Marvel. Yeah. And I think yeah, I'm not sure how this is gonna work because if movies get moved back or what, but we'll see.
We did we did get a strong rumor the other day that Black Widow was looking to do a simul release of in theaters and Disney Plus at the same time.
Okay. Oof.
So
Yeah. I mean, we've been holding out as long as we can, but yeah, it doesn't look
yeah,
like.
like essentially because because there are so many Marvel movies down the pipeline that need to meet specific dates. We already have 3 Marvel movies coming out this year. No, 4 if you count
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Or
Yeah.
Spider-Man's just on a,
Mm-hmm.
assuming it doesn't make that extra what 10 days.
Yeah, so if Black Widow get delayed at all, that would move Shang-Chi out of the summer. That would move Eternals
Hmm.
out of this year. Like uh And then
It's too much coming down the pipeline.
Thor needs to come out before Valentine's Day. Like Doctor Strange needs to come out next May. Like it just, you can't move it anymore. It's just,
Oh man.
if they need to
Oh,
release this one, and like, not to downplay Black Widow, but like, I'd probably say Black Widow is the least consequential upcoming Marvel movie. Assuming that like nothing world breaking happens during that movie, which I don't really think that'll happen.
probably not. It's like a tribute movie, kind of.
Yeah, unless something crazy happens in the after credit scene.
Right, exactly. I say that, and then it's like, what Galactus? What? Like, how did this happen?
I mean, Eternals is supposed to be the very next one, so if Galactus is tied to the Eternals, which I think he, at least in some continuity, he is, it very easily could have been a thing where like Black Widow, the movie itself isn't really tied to much, but the after credit scene is just randomly, oh, here's what's next.
But yeah, I guess we'll have to find out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I doubt it's going to be anything like super, like, completely defining the whole MCU right now. It's probably going to just be like chill, but
Still
we'll
pretty,
see.
still good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a pretty cool rumor that Kristen Ritter, otherwise known as the actress that played Jessica Jones, is heavily rumored to at least cameo in the She-Hulk show.
Okay. Interesting.
And we already have a rumor that, Matt Murdock is going to show up in Spider-Man 3.
Right.
She's showing up in She-Hulk. That just feels right. Like, if there's some weirdness with like not being able to keep the right, kind of like with Hulk, where they can't really make a Hulk movie because Universal still technically has the rights to Hulk movies. Netflix might technically still have the rights to like these Marvel shows, so they can't make a movie or show called Daredevil or The Defenders, etc. But like Hulk, they just want to kind of throw them into other stuff. Like I could easily see Iron
Right.
Fist just showing up in Shang-Chi. That just makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like, and it would be interesting because, like, you would also see that they are doing their best to kind of incorporating, let's have show characters in movies, and then moving forward, things like WandaVision, Malcolm Winter Soldier, it will be kind of used to shows, and then, okay, I've watched this show, and now what happened in this show is going to matter in this
Yes.
movie. So that's probably what they're trying to, like, ease that transition going into as well.
Yeah, and Luke Cage can pretty much show up wherever. Like,
Cage shows up in the biggest fight, and they're like, "Oh, we're good, guys. Cool. We got." It. He's like, "Hold on, X-Men, stand down. We got it."
so yeah, that's very exciting. Like I know Kevin Feige's been saying for a while that like, don't count out the Netflix shows just yet. Like we'll never say never. So this just seems like the perfect way to kind of, which I think I've said this before. I feel this is also my personal ideal way of them kind of subtly introducing the X-Men, like having Wolverine show up at some point in She-Hulk, have Storm show up in Black Panther. Uh, if we'll talk about it in a second, but Deadpool 3 being in the MCU, having Colossus and a couple others just kind of very naturally just kind of going in. I think that's great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. They can. Yeah, this was something we've always talked about. Like, how are they gonna just? Because the X-Men's a lot to just kind of like sneak in. So you're gonna have to do like it's either gonna have to be super sly or just kind of this is happening.
Rogue
now.
showing up either in Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel 2. Like it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of touched on it, but it's been officially confirmed that Deadpool 3 will be rated R and officially in the MCU.
Woo.
Yes. It's going to be weird. He's totally going to make fun of it.
Absolutely. And we're going to love every second of it.
Yes. There is a chance that Deadpool 3 might lose a little bit of its charm because something like the majority of the charm of Deadpool 1 and 2 was the kind of low budget-ish feel of them and them, referencing how come the Avengers or how come the X-Men, can't help us, like we got like making meta jokes about the fact that they just didn't have the budget to bring in anyone aside from Colossus and whoever else. Now that they technically are part of the MCU, it's going to be a little weird for them to make those jokes, and knowing that you easily could throw in other characters, but
But I mean, and enough that like they could just kind of like a couple throwaways at it here or there and stuff like that. But I think it'll still keep its Deadpool charm because I
yeah,
think unless it was with Spider-Man, I feel like Deadpool being too invasive in the universe would be a mistake. Because I just
yeah,
it wouldn't be the same.
yeah. But like, I still think Deadpool could show up in an Avengers movie and like they
Oh
bleep
yeah,
him or he makes fun of not being able to swear or whatever.
yeah, yeah. There's like, oh, great, you didn't invite me to the big battle. I had to find it myself. And like, I don't appreciate being left off the guest list.
Exactly.
Like, or I don't know, something like
Pretty
that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, you could just show up in the like imagine like like an Endgame, like the last second Deadpool shows up or something,
Uh,
and he's just like, you know
like
what I'm
after the
saying?
battle's
Like,
already over, like just
yeah,
Iron Man's dead and is like, "Hi, I'm here." Oh.
and it's like, all right, boy, time to part. I missed something. I knew, I knew I should have got here sooner.
uh, so yeah, it's gonna be great. Ryan Reynolds is still obviously gonna be Deadpool. Like it's gonna be great. Um, yeah. Switching gears entirely to the DC side of things. Um, so I don't know if we've really talked about this on the podcast before, but Ray Fisher hasn't exactly been on the best terms with DC lately. At all.
No,
Apparently, he
no,
was treated.
he's not
Him
happy.
specifically was treated very poorly during the production of Justice League. He was originally going to have his own movie, and then that was scrapped very early on. So I'm sure he wasn't happy about
Yes.
that. Yet Flashpoint is still happening. Like, okay, um, so he openly said that like he had a dramatic talk with the head of DC, and he said that he's done working with DC. His Cyborg was originally going to be a big part of Flashpoint, like he should be, but they wrote him out of Flashpoint, and apparently they're just not going to recast Cyborg at all. So yeah, that's happening. What are your thoughts on all of that?
I mean, it's one of those things that it's like you kind of knew what was like. I mean, I don't know. It's like because like there's been talk. I mean, at one point or another, pretty much everyone of the Justice League has been unhappy about something.
Yeah,
For a while, Ben Affleck. Um, Ben Affleck's been like, oh, I don't want to be Batman.
Henry
Cavill
Cavill.
wasn't Superman to the point where they didn't even show his face in his cameo in
Yeah,
Shazam. The Flash thing with Ezra Miller was going on for a long time. I mean,
yeah,
this is at this point, it's kind of just like, all right, who is still in it? Obviously, we still
mm,
got Wonder Woman too, but like, it's like, it feels kind of like everyone's starting to get done with this because
yeah,
one, they are kind of seemingly focusing on other stuff because I mean, it's like, wow, yeah, Justice League, we had Justice League, and they're doing the Snyder Cut or whatever, but it's like certain characters haven't got anything. Like Harley Quinn's got like what, two going on three
mm-hmm.
movies, more or less. And then, no one else in the Justice League outside of Batman. Well, no, not even
Even
Batman.
gives it a
Like,
movie. Yeah,
no, like no one's really gotten a movie. It's just, so it's kind. I think that's probably part of it. And also, it's just I think people just kind of want to be, what's going on. But yeah, but no, I mean, he's basically, we did an interview. He's basically done. Like,
yeah.
he's not
Like
happy. He's
after the
like,
Snyder cut, he's done. Yeah,
yeah. Which, granted, Cyborg, I never felt was really. I don't know. I never got behind the whole Cyborg in the Justice League thing anyway.
yeah.
But I mean, uh,
What do we know? We just read comics.
yeah. What, me? No, no. I have a comic book. Never heard of it. Like,
Mm,
swear. And like, and I know like the New 52 and everything does have Cyborg in the
But
Justice
that's
League, which
dumb. I
again
don't
I
like that
don't.
either. So
Yeah, no, I don't really like that anyway. I feel like that's kind of incorrect, I guess.
yeah,
I mean, I know, like, they write the comic books. They can do what they want, so who am I to say they're wrong? But, like, as far as,
yeah.
like, I mean, I don't think the Justice League's not going to feel like the Justice League if they don't have Cyborg. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like he definitely had a strong connection to that movie because he is a mother box. But like once I don't know, I feel like you could get around. You could get away with not necessarily having the mother box as being a focal point of the movies going forward, assuming movies do go forward. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, you
Yeah,
don't
and
necessarily.
also, it's probably, I didn't think about this, but, like, pretty much all the Cyborg stuff in the original movie got cut out. So maybe he's unhappy about that
Oh,
too.
I
Because
would.
he
Yeah,
wasn't supposed
I
to
would
have
be
this
too.
big football scene and everything, and like,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently is coming back, but like,
Sure.
yeah, it's probably. I mean, I don't know if that's what so much she's not. But yeah, his whole Flash cameo is gone. Like he's just like forget again and again. The Flash was supposed to come out how many years ago now? Like
3.
right. So I mean, it probably wasn't really on the best of terms anyway. But that was a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. He seems. I mean, he's fed up and like. I don't know. This might be one of those things where oh I'm out, but I'm not. Like because
Yeah.
like I mean, is Ben Affleck even still Batman? Like I think
Yes,
he
we'll
is,
get into
but
that in
like
just a second. I just want to touch on real quick how it's very weird how originally Cyborg was going to be a pretty major part in Flashpoint, but they wrote him out of the movie and they're not recasting Cyborg, even though it would make perfect sense for a different dimension Cyborg to be played by a different person. So, like, it would have been an easy out to just say, oh, this is, Cyborg just changed after Flashpoint. Like, if you're going to recast for whatever reason, like, if you wanted to keep Cyborg around, you easily could with Flashpoint, but they just chose not to. That's a little weird. But whatever.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess they're just frustrated with what's going on, and like, and you can even see, like, and I'm not saying that like it's like dead, but it kind of feels a little on not good when people are kind of just like dipping out of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it feel the culture doesn't feel there.
Yeah. So, speaking of Batman, we it's still I think confirmed that Ben Affleck will be Batman at least in some capacity in the Flashpoint movie along with Michael Keaton. And
Supposedly.
yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out. But
Uh,
apparently there's a heavy rumor that Michael Keaton might just kind of stick around for future DC projects as Batman going forward.
I mean, I guess they wanted an older Batman,
They
so
yeah, they
I mean,
wanted to
maybe not.
do they wanted to do
Like
Dark
with
Knight Rises again, or Dark
I
Knight
mean, no,
Returns again. Might as well.
yeah, no, or like, I mean, what you seen Titans Bruce Wayne? How he looks like 60 years old.
Yeah,
Like, granted, he's on his second Robin, but like, good gracious, that
yeah.
just does not
I,
look. He looks like 50. Like,
like, I mean, Batman Beyond would be nice. You know.
yeah, that could be something. I guess
Um, yeah.
my thing is like, what? Yeah, what's going on? Because I mean, I don't know if it's. I know it's not necessarily the same people, but it's like they're making another Batman movie with a completely different Batman and everything.
Yes.
But then Affleck's over. It's like I don't know about that. It feels kind of like what's going on?
Yeah, and like this easily could be justified by having Flashpoint create different dimensions, having, you know, explicitly setting Black Adam in a different dimension, like telling the audience in no uncertain terms that like yes, the Batman that is in the Batman coming up next year, that's not the same Batman that is Ben Affleck's Batman, who's not the same Batman as Michael Keaton's Batman. There's three
Right.
separate Batmans and three separate timelines that will not interact unless some crisis happens.
Okay. And I mean, I guess that's fine. I guess, but it's just like I guess it feels like there's not a lot of direction. They're kind of just making
Yeah.
movies, which if you do that, that's fine, I guess. But it just seems kind of like you were very set on this very much like set universe and making movies that are set together, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, alternate universe this one or that. And I know that's, I mean, comic books do that all the time, but it's comic books, so it's
I
different. Like,
I think something that kind of bugs me about the way the DC movies were planned from the start is that I think they kind of misinterpreted the importance of Flashpoint. Because from the beginning, Flashpoint was going to be the Flash movie that came out immediately after Justice League. So the reason why Flashpoint is so important is because it literally only exists as a bridge between the like classic DC stuff and the New 52. Like Flashpoint created an entirely new universe for DC to start working with. And two, Flashpoint specifically exists to kind of like kind of in the same vein of that, like reset an entire broken universe. Like the universe that was created because of Flashpoint was so messed up that he needed to make a second Flashpoint just to fix it.
mm-hmm.
And same as in Apocalypse War, like that universe was screwed. Like billions of people across the entire galaxy were gonna like die soon if he didn't. Spoilers: if you didn't expect the movie where half the Justice League dies to him to fix it, like whatever. Like he runs back in time and fixes it, and then a new animated universe is coming out of that. Like it's almost like DC, whoever, Jeff Johns or whoever, knew that this universe was already messed up by the third movie, so we need to plan for Flashpoint to fix Justice League. And that's a little disconcerting,
Yeah. I don't know. It just, yeah, the movies just kind of seem all over the place. It's just interesting. Because even this Wonder Woman movie, it's like, why like, I always ask, like, why 1984, Like, I didn't really, like, I understand the first one being World War II, okay, that's fine. But, like, it just feels like you're just popping up at random points in history.
Which I think
kind of. It doesn't seem
it's
very.
fine.
Because, like, after all this happened, you think, no, like, and how did it work? Is no one going to remember what happened? Because that was a lot that happened.
Yeah, she did, like, at the very beginning of the movie during that mall scene, she did break all the cameras to, like, not let people know that it was her. But it did seem like everyone still remembered everything that happened in that movie. Like,
Yeah.
when the nukes disappeared, they mentioned that the nukes disappeared, unless the next day everyone just woke up from forgetting everything.
But they didn't say that.
Yeah, are we just gonna pretend like, what was it, like
Yeah.
July 5th, 1984 just didn't happen? Like,
Yeah, like, what happened there? Like, and that's another problem I kind of have with them just skipping to Christmas at the end. It's like, so is there no aftermath? Is
exactly.
the world just like, okay, nothing ever happened? It's like, the world literally almost got destroyed in nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just gonna gloss over it like that. Whether or not countries actually blew up, that's still very documentable. Like,
Yes.
no, everyone would know about that, but for some
Yeah,
reason
it's
not.
like, yeah, it's almost like a scene was missing or something, or like some rewrite happened where they forgot to mention that everyone forgot. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, it, it is very interesting how they're still going forward with Flashpoint, and I just also like, a problem I have with Flashpoint being the first Flash movie is that it's just kind of boring for the first, like, really the first Flash movie ever to just be the most popular Flash comic. The
Mm-hmm.
one that has this ensemble cast on top of Flash. Like, you can't just. I feel like you've got to build two. Like, by the third Flash movie, you do Flashpoint.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the biggest comics just in DC in general. It's like it's definitely the most famous Flash
Mm-hmm.
comic, but like it's basically the death of Superman for Flash. I mean, not in thematically, but like in terms of popularity.
Yeah. or
So
like Dark
like
Knight Returns or whatever, Report Joke,
exactly,
like
it's
that type of
like
thing.
Death in the
That level.
Family or something so big that like you even if you don't know that much about the Flash, if you know anything about DC, you probably know what that is.
Yeah.
So like the fact that it's kind of just thrown in there, kind of one, it makes the Flash seem like he only exists for Flashpoint,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is kind of lame. And also, yeah, like you said, it shouldn't be like a scapegoat movie or just kind of thrown it. It should kind of be set up like in the Flash's world, but also with other things as well.
Yeah. Which I mean, considering how Flash was used in BVS, where he went back in time to tell Batman that cryptic message that didn't end up meaning anything. Like, it really does feel like Zack Snyder's entire vision for Flash was to just time travel. That is his thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he needs to go
Yeah,
back.
because
Like, Flash only exists in this world in order to go back in time and tell Batman this important thing, or show Batman a vision of the future, or whatever. Like, it's
it's kind of cheap for Flash. Yeah.
yeah, kind of cheap and very narrow-minded when Flash has a lot of very cool villains, like Reverse Flash, Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold. Like, he has a lot of very cool villains that could easily carry, or at least team up to carry their own movies. Instead, you just start with Flashpoint and just, I don't know it.
Right, 'cause I feel like if you can give Aquaman a movie, you can
Yeah.
give Flash a movie.
Although
You know what I'm saying?
they just did Throne of Atlantis again.
I know, but that's the only comic anyone even knows from Aquaman. Like, let's be real.
I
Do
can't.
you know? I mean, because I
No,
can't think of an Aquaman story off the top of my
I don't
head that's
care
not
about
that one.
Aquaman, but
Exactly. That's the only one anyone's actually paid attention. I give them a pass on that one because other if they didn't use that story, I don't know if people would. I don't know. Again, I don't know that much about
although
Aquaman, but like I feel like most people also don't. So try to. It's an easy one to understand, and it's just like you can see a lot of Atlantis, and a lot of people don't know Aquaman's origin at all, so
mhm.
it helps. So it's kind of just go for it.
Now that I think about it, that's kind of been the MO of this entire universe. Because Superman was just an origin story, and then he fought Zod again, which was the what happened in the very first Superman movie in the '70s. BVS was just Dark Knight Returns, which is one of
Kind
the
of, but
top three
not.
most popular Batman movies or Batman comics.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was just set during World War I to fight Ares, at least one of the more popular Wonder Woman villains. Then Throne of Atlantis, and then Justice League is just apocalypse stuff. Like, yeah, it's just kind of been like, and I get it. You're setting up this world, so it makes sense to pull from the more general knowledge. Like, in order to get people invested in this universe, you've got to kind of start with stuff that people know. I get that,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like there could have been a better way to, especially with Batman. Why do you start with Dark Knight Returns? Whatever. I don't know. It would be like if it would be like if um, Iron Man just started with the Mandarin, or like
Thor just started with Ragnarok.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
It kind of
so
would be like all, and it's kind of all downhill from here, kind of.
yeah, because
It's like
like
if you start with the best thing, it kind of
yeah,
like, oh, well.
because like especially in Batman's case, if you just start him fighting Superman, when he fights Bane, it's like, oh, who cares? You already fought a Superman. Like, I
Right.
think you can take a Bane, for example. Like,
Right. And then like it's expected. It's like scaling. It's like you expect me to like, if I can, we just wait against Dark Doomsday, and now it's like, oh man, yeah, Bane's really giving me trouble. It's like you fought a giant killing machine monster, and now you can't just take some dude on roids. Like, come
yes,
on, like yeah, it's like it would feel very cheap, and even kind of with Wonder Woman, it kind of felt like because like you would, granted, Steppenwolf's not like as big as like Darkseid, but I assume Steppenwolf is pretty strong, or at least should
Steppenwolf, I
be.
feel is on like he's not as strong as Doomsday. He
No,
shouldn't be.
No, but like Doomsday is his own league. I mean, he killed Superman. Like that's his
Yeah,
thing. So
but Wonder Woman was just
not
getting
to be.
thrown around and like jumping back up and punching Doomsday left and right. Like she cut off his arm at one point. Yet you can't beat Steppenwolf like that. You how does you and Aquaman together not enough to beat Steppenwolf? It just kind of seems like he got away. It's not like he overwhelmed you. He just kind of got away. It's maybe they'll explain it better than the Snyder cut. I don't think they will, but whatever.
Will they though?
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. And like also, yeah, it just kind of feels like yeah, like just downscaling every time you
Mm-hmm.
start with the most famous or best
Yeah,
comic book, which I understand you want to get, you want to see certain characters in these iconic stories, but it's like, The Dark Knight Returns doesn't mean as much if the Dark Knight hasn't been established yet. You
exactly.
know what I'm saying?
Like
Like,
I
it
think
doesn't.
I think as much as I don't adore the Dark Knight trilogy as much as other people, they are pretty solid movies. I think the third one is hilarious, but like it's still
It
overall pretty
is.
solid. It's whatever. Like it's
It has some rough
it has some
patches.
very rush patches. I think Anne Hathaway as Catwoman didn't work. I think obviously Tom Hardy as Bane didn't work. I think there's a whole like middle part that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. Like as far as just like
Yeah.
the writing and dialogue, it's solid. And obviously Dark Knight is great, but Batman Begins is still good, but it's just kind of meh in my opinion. But I something I do really appreciate about Batman Begins is that they don't just lead with Joker. They don't lead with Bane or anyone really important. They lead with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow teaming up. I think like those are two obviously fairly well known characters, but they're not like top shelf. Everyone knows who these people are characters. And then
Yeah,
once
I mean, you could
they
argue that with.
yeah
Good.
no
Sorry.
no go
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that with Ra's al Ghul, but like, yeah, the thing is, it made sense that Ra's al Ghul would be the first one because it was a part of his origin, so
yeah
it wouldn't make sense that he'd be in it. And Scarecrow, like you said, is kind of just like among Batman's illustrious rogue gallery, Scarecrow is not necessarily a top shelf villain, but he's still good.
yeah like those are two characters that hadn't been used in any of the Tim Burton
Right.
movies or Joel Schumacher movies.
Any live action movies, I don't think.
Yeah. So it was just it was a very bold, and I think it worked out well enough that those characters started that universe, and then they moved to Joker and Two Face, and then to Catwoman and Bane. I don't think they did Catwoman and Bane well, but like at least they knew the progression. If you do Bane first, it's not we like who cares if Batman gets his back broken if we don't see him at his prime before then. So yeah, I think that progression
Yeah,
overall was very well done.
yeah. And yeah, like I said, and I do use and like we've said before with other things, it's like when they take characters and kind of name them, but then don't really do it the right way. It is kind of annoying, especially like because like that's my one of the Dark Knight Rises is kind of like this is Bane, but not really. It's
Yeah,
kind of like okay, but like
he has a
he has
mask
them.
and he's kind of strong. That makes him Bane. No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It
not
doesn't.
really. Like that doesn't really. No, and like I'm telling you how
Oh.
because I like that was the one that bothered me the most. It was kind of
Mm,
like that. How dare you? That wasn't even close to how that's supposed to work. So like, yeah, no, I that is a poor. That's another example of like just naming characters Batman characters, even though they have nothing to do with their role. That's kind
mm-hmm.
of just like that is. It's like the Cassandra Cain thing. It's like no, why would you do that? Why would you
Yeah,
ruin that?
I don't know.
But I guess they knew it was their third movie. They could just throw it together. But I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. I think that movie still could have worked better had it actually been the actual Bane and not just another
Yeah.
terrorist guy. Like you could still have him be Bane and also fill a similar role, but be more intimidating and bigger and actually
Well, that's what like he could have still done the terrorist stuff.
yeah
Like I don't think Bane's above terrorism by any means. I just think if they had made him more similar, give him like a South American accent and that's like a big dude and like
mm-hmm.
not the wear a mask for like the mask doesn't make sense.
yeah
without the context of the original. It's just kind of now I'm just wearing a mask. It's like it doesn't because like the mask is just he's like a luchador or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't really make sense to just have it for like my face paint or something or
Or
whatever it was.
like in some context, he like has it over his mouth as like a way to like breathe in the toxin to like get into his system faster.
Yeah, or something like that. But without the venom, it makes no sense.
Yeah. So
But
yeah, I do appreciate they the one uh, from knowledge the one movie where they didn't do exactly this, where they just like take the most memorable comic or most popular comic and just make that a movie was with Shazam.
mm,
I still don't know who Dr. Shiva is. Like, I don't think the one from the movie is even like really the same as from the comic. I don't think he ever got like Shazam powers or the Seven Deadly Sins or whatever. I don't think that was actually something Shiva did. But the fact that the first Shazam movie didn't just do Black Adam, they actually had a different villain, fill a similar role, but like it wasn't just Black Adam first.
hmm
I think was pretty honestly pretty bold and pretty interesting. I like that.
right. Because you want to use the best villain in the first movie because in the first movie you're kind of setting up the main character, and then once your character's set up, then you can put him against better opposition, so you have more comparison.
Exactly. So yeah, really hope that after Flashpoint they kind of get their act together and just kind of
You will, though.
you know figure out what exactly they're doing with these movies going forward, especially with Black Adam and the Batman and Suicide Squad. Like I think some of these movies have potential, but I hope they kind of get their act together going forward.
Yeah, but we'll see.
We'll see. That we're not quite done talking about DC quite yet because it's time for some more Snyder Snarks. I know we've kind of been doing that throughout, but like specifically, I wanted to bring up like one specific topic. So, recently we reviewed Wonder Woman 1984, and we weren't super hot on it. We felt it had a lot of problems, but the main thing I took away from that movie is that the story and writing and plot weren't the best, but at least the characters were generally done well. Diana was still Wonder Woman. Steve Trevor was still, like he wasn't out of character. Cheetah's character was a little confusing, but at least she, in the end, she was Cheetah. And I fear my biggest fear. I might have mentioned this either in the podcast or after recording. My biggest fear is that going forward, I fear that Snyder cultists will look at Wonder Woman and be like, "This is what happens when Zack Snyder isn't making DC movies. They're all
Yeah,
terrible." Like,
yeah, yeah.
so, like I said, Wonder Woman, the movie wasn't great, but at least they understood the characters correctly, and that is what this um, segment is dedicated to. Is dedicated to showing you that Zack Snyder doesn't know what he's doing, because we've talked about it before, where it is insane that Batman kills people in these movies.
Yes.
And like everyone, talks about mentions that, and like there are several cases where it could be like, oh, just collateral damage, or they didn't get out of the way, so it's their fault. It
It's not
seems,
how murder works.
I know, it seems like so like whatever, like that happens. People can defend it one way or the other, sure. But it seems like all the people that try to defend the Batman killing forget the fact that Batman brands criminals, and then those criminals always die in prison. He takes his little bat icon, brands it on their shoulder, and then they get shanked to death in prison. And that makes no sense to me.
Why did I don't remember, I do remember now that you said, but like why did they get like shanked to death? Like why did anyone
I don't
care?
like it's it's insane to me for a bunch of reasons. A, in no universe does Batman do that. Batman never leaves a literal, symbol of himself on opponents in the first place. I've never read that in a comic. Have you?
No,
Like he
no,
doesn't
I
take
have no
out,
idea.
a high on, what's it called, like a prattle iron and just brands them.
Yeah, that's
Also,
kind of messed up.
it's obviously Batman's thing that he doesn't like people dying. So why would he allow this? Why would he create this system that allows people to die? Also, this implies that Batman has this kind of unspoken relationship with criminals to be like, okay, you guys in prison that I maybe you may not put there, the ones that I brand, they're the baddest of the bad. So I'm going to send them to prison and I want you to kill them for me. When did this happen?
Yeah, it doesn't really
Why
happen.
did this happen?
And the biggest thing too about like Batman killing people, it's like, how is Batman gonna justify killing some random goon? But like, even after everything the Joker's done, I'm not gonna kill the Joker.
Exactly.
Like,
Like
there's no justification for that at
you
all.
didn't brand Joker, you didn't brand Lex Luthor, you threatened him, but you punched the wall instead. Like who who knows how many people Deadshot has killed? Like yeah, like you brand a guy that was running a sex dungeon, but like I would probably argue that's still horrible, but not nearly as bad as what Joker has done. Like it
And
just
continues to do. Like,
yeah.
that's kind of my thing too. It's like, it's not like Joker's content, like the revolving door that is Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
And after killing literally your son, whether whoever it is,
Mm,
because whatever,
whatever.
but like literally killed your son among hundreds, if not thousands of others. But you're like, nah, I'll kill this random goon though, like no problem.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense. Like other than just because we can't kill the Joker. Like
And
that's not really no.
why on earth would the police, especially Jim Gordon, ever work with Batman if they knew he was branding people to be put to death? Like, this is
Yeah,
a known entity within the DC universe that Batman is doing this, and he's been doing this.
for a
Yet
while.
in the next movie, Jim Gordon just summons him like nothing happened, and is like, "Here's the deal." Like, because he changed his mind about not branding uh, Lex Luthor, he's off the hook? No, that's not how
Right?
this works.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Like I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know about that at all. But
I don't know. It just further proves that like whatever you think of these movies, like they are very beautifully shot movies, but that can only get you so far when the
right,
characters, even within, like even if you just like don't take the comic book counterpart into account, even just within the universe you created, this doesn't make sense.
no, at all. Because like logically, how would you allow this to happen?
Yeah,
Is basically what I'm getting at.
like when did criminals decide to start working with Batman? Why did Batman decide to start working with criminals? When did this relationship form? Why does Batman have such a big problem with Superman killing so many people in his initial outing when Batman intentionally puts people to death on a daily basis?
I guess because he can't control it. I guess I don't know. Which I mean, I
Stupid.
get that kind of makes sense because people fear what they can't control. But at the same time, it's very like what?
I don't know. That the movie thematically would be so much stronger if he had a thing against killing, because that would be his reason for hating Superman. On top of being something he can't control, it would be he's a threat to humanity. He can just have the ability to kill anybody at will. When, but that idea isn't as strong when Batman just goes around
Casually
killing.
killing everyone.
Yeah, uh, it makes me angry.
Yeah, it does that. But here we
Like
are.
Wonder Woman, at least was like every character was consistent with the world that was built within within the two Wonder Woman movies. Like, yeah, the plot wasn't great. Yeah, like it there was just a ton of other issues with that movie itself, but at least the characters were pretty solid throughout.
And it made sense more.
Yes.
Like the characters at least made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much what was going on, but like, yeah, the
Yeah.
characters knew
So
what's
I
going on.
don't care that Martian Manhunter is apparently going to be in Justice League Snyder Cut because they're not going to do him right.
They're not. Which is fair because he's not really that. Like, I don't feel like Martian Manhunter is that difficult of a character
Yeah,
generally. Like, it feels like he should be a pretty straightforward character.
but like he's also going to just be a killing machine when he's supposed to be a pacifist. Like,
Yes, yes, he is.
like he only fights at the last resort because he knows how strong he is, and that's why I like him so much. Like
Yeah, I mean, he's
he
on par with like
Superman.
which with all his powers, he's on par. Like in some, I know he's on par with Superman. So like,
Yeah,
and I don't think he'll be in this world because they make Superman ridiculous. But
yeah.
like, it's not gonna go well.
No,
We know this, but that's okay.
I don't know. I am still very excited to watch the Snyder Cut. I think it's gonna be a huge train wreck. I'm gonna love it, but I I'm still convinced it's not gonna be a good movie.
No, it won't, and it won't be. I mean, I'm not. No, but if it is, somehow it is. I'll own it. I'll be like, all right, I was wrong.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, then we all know what happened.
Okay. So, is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign out?
Not really, just hyped for WandaVision this
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. This
Two
Friday.
episodes.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk
Let's
about that
go.
next
We'll
time.
see what this goes. The Disney Plus show train for Marvel stuff is about to get started. We'll see how this goes. This show has kind of been just like a mind boggle from all the trailers we got. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of excited to see what's going to happen. I'll probably bring some Tylenol with me as I watch it because I feel like it's going to be one of those. But nonetheless, I'm excited.
Oh yeah, very excited. And if he's anything, if Mandalorian has taught us anything, like Marvel or Disney Plus shows have the potential to be movie quality. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm very excited.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, and with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care, guys.